Paul, as you said, JD Group is still listed. It is controlled by Steinhoff with just over 85% of the shares in issue.
I'm not exactly sure why it's still listed, and I guess it's because there's some holdouts that don't want to get slurped up by Steinhoff. Also, in addition to the 85 that they've got, I think Piet Viljoen's crowd, RECM, have got like 7.5. So what you have here is a company with precious little stock out in public hands, and that's because they did a various, underwritten sort of buyout offers at lower levels, and so people got taken out along the process. Operationally, of course, though, the business is still trading.
And it includes, for you out there, Bradlows, Joshua Doore, Morkels, Russells, Hi-Fi Corporation, and Incredible Connection. So a wide array of well-known brands in the stable.
Exactly.
Market cap, we're sitting with 6.9 billion rand, currently has no PE ratio and no dividend.
And I think that's because they either had a loss or because they were reorganizing things related, and they had a big rights issue and so on and so forth. So a bit of movement there, but in any event, 6.9 billion rands with a market cap, not insubstantial.
But as Paul pointed out, very little free float here.
Yes, very little free float, and they did have a loss. It was actually a widening loss over the last reporting time. And yeah, the company on the operational side, they did well. They've actually performed better on the operational side. But when you consider what they had to write down, and they sold their credit sort of division, and they had to write down a significant portion of that in the area of about 7 billion. So it's significant numbers we're talking about, and that was the main impact, I think, of the loss. And then just the business. I mean, if you have the opportunity to buy into a company like Steinhoff, why would you go and play in a space that's so dedicated to the South African market again, where I'd much rather be the holder of an equity that actually plays on a larger scale. So
and has that geographic diversity.
Exactly. So if you like the company, you're going to get a part of it through Steinhoff anyway. So it does have the upside to that too.
Paul?
Yeah, so I think that is exactly right. Remember, Marcus Jooster's vision of being in the furniture retail business is not to do the financing to the extent that JD Group typically did in the past. And that's because everyone can see what can go wrong, like a la African Bank, when you focus on the lending side.
Can I jump in here? Is there merit in keeping this group listed?
Well, in regard of JD, probably the end game is to take it all off the market completely, because it doesn't really justify the listing if you've already got 85%. Remember, with the other South African listed entity, CAP, they actually reduced their stake by doing a bit of a placement and a book build and so on and so forth.
So it wouldn't surprise you if we saw the delisting of JD Group in the future?
Due course, but I don't think they're going to do anybody any favors. It's not their style to want to overpay for assets at the bottom of the cycle and so on. So I don't know, maybe it could get bought out.
Any thoughts from your side on this?
Well, I think interesting for me, when you look on the operational side for the business, something that just performed well that I was slightly surprised about, and that I think going forward might actually be hindering their growth, is the automotive side. They actually did quite well through Hertz and the other larger, vehicle sales. Petrol prices going forward, the consumer being indebted, it might not be such a pretty story to be invested in this company alone. That's just my thoughts.
Hot or not, Paul?
That's a good point. I'd forgotten that. So in the global reorganization, Steinhoff had some other retail assets which they put in here in consideration for certain shares and so on. Now, I'm going to avoid this one. As you said earlier, there's much more interesting things to consider.
Hot or not?
I agree, I'm not hot.